Hello, my name is Sue Lewis. Welcome to this workshop, which is going to show you the many routes to a degree. And there are lots of different ways you can get a degree, so I'm going to take you through them. But first of all, let's think about you and the things that motivate you. Have a look at this list of things and think about the things that are most important to you. Try and think of your top 3. So it can be useful to think about what really motivates you, because you can use this information to help you find a course or a career that's going to fit with the things that you believe in or you're passionate about. It's also really good if you can become the manager of your own career, and it's really good to listen to advice and support, but it's also really good to think about things for yourself and have some ways of deciding how you're going to make a career decision. And what we suggest is you start with yourself, knowing yourself and what motivates you, then doing stuff to build your CV and show how different you are from everybody else. Know all your options in some detail, and then use all the available support that is around you. So I'm going to run you through some of these things. So in terms of knowing yourself, on the Career Pilot website, careerpilot.org.uk, there's a whole section about you. There's activities you can do that fit with the age you might be. You can start with a subject and see where a subject you love might take you. You could do our skills map and find out what skills you've already got and look at how you can use these later. Or you can plan your qualifications on the ladder of qualifications. So some of the things I'm just going to talk about quickly. Start with the subject I mentioned. So here you can click on a subject you really love and see where that subject might go. So we'll show you some sort of job examples, university degree examples, apprenticeships, college courses. So just give you lots of ideas about where you might go with the subject you like. You could start also by looking at the skills you've got, and our skills profile will ask you about things you've already done in your life, your learning, maybe your work if you're over 16. And then for everything you tick, it'll tell you what skills you've already developed. And these are all put together into our skills profile. So what you can see here are any examples you clicked on from the quiz, and the idea is you add your own examples. So it might be things we haven't asked you. So you can put things in and add in what skills they've given you, and they'll all be put in our skills bank. So you can come back to them later and use them when you want to apply. One other thing you can do is actually compare your skills to the skills required for a job. So you can put in the name of a job like nurse or doctor or engineer, and then you can see what skills the job requires and look at your own skills and think about how you might build up your skills bank so that it gets nearer to the job that you're really interested in. And when you come to apply, whether it's for a course or whether it's for a job, you can click on Use My Skills to apply, say what you're applying for. Think about the skills you most need to flag up for that experience. It might be quite different if you're a nurse or a plumber. And then you'll get all your examples, and then you can write them into the right sort of format, ready for popping into your applications. In terms of doing stuff, it's really important to try to build up your CV, but also have things you could talk about when you go along for interviews. So all the things you might be doing around school or college will be useful in that respect. So do keep up with as many of those things as you can, even though you might be busy with your coursework. Knowing all your options, that's an important thing. What we're going to talk about in this workshop is specifically about the many routes to a degree. So just to explain a little bit about the structure of qualifications, we have a pathway called the academic pathway, which you might already have heard of. Vocational, where you're doing a course or an activity related to a job area, and then work-based, where you're learning how to do a particular job, so you'll be based with an employer. So we have different levels of qualifications in this country, and probably you're somewhere around here at the moment. So you might have done your GCSEs or you're doing your GCSEs. If you get 5 GCSEs at grade 4 to 9, that's a level 2. But you can see there's also level 2 for vocational, a BTEC or an OCR or other things too. And in the apprenticeship stream, there is something called an intermediate apprenticeship. And then there's level 3. So you will have heard of A levels, but there's also BTECs at level 3, and the apprenticeship becomes an advanced apprenticeship. Level 4, now that's equivalent to the first year of a degree at a university, but you can see there's other things too that are just the same in terms of their level. So a higher national certificate, foundation degree, those are things you do in a college. And there's also the higher or degree apprenticeship first year. Level 5 is the second year, and then level 6 is when you actually get your degree. So what you can see, you can get a degree from all these different pathways. So you're kind of about making a decision across these levels at the moment about what you might do next. There's different pathways to getting a degree. You could do a degree at university. They're often academic, but obviously some courses are quite vocational and relate to a job, like engineering or even being a doctor, of course. It's all about getting a job at the end. But you can also do a degree at a college, which tends to be a combination of academic and vocational. So they're related to a job area, and you might do work practices in a job situation. Then there's the work-based route, which is the apprenticeship route, and sometimes you can get sponsored by an employer who will pay for your degree fees. So I'll talk more about that later. So you probably know some of these things. An academic degree at university takes 3 to 4 years. If you do a course at college, it will probably take 2 years, and then you top up to the degree in the 3rd year. So it's the same 3-year course. An apprenticeship can take longer because you're working as well as studying, so that could take from up to 7 years, depending on the level you're going up to. There's actually thousands of courses at a university for you to choose from. Some you can combine, like music and maths, and lots of other combinations too. The ones at a college will be related to a job area, and of course the work-based route, you're being trained to do a specific job. You can get students' loans for the degree courses at a university or a college, but the apprenticeship route you will get paid a minimum rate. Sometimes employers top that up a bit more, so you get paid as you're working towards the qualification. So here's a quiz for you. What do you think you need to do to become a nurse? Do you need a degree or an apprenticeship, or could you go in through either pathway? Well, you can actually go in through either pathway. Lots of students have been doing nursing courses through a degree, but now apprenticeship pathways are opening up as well. What about a dentist? Well, for this one you have to do a degree. That's the only pathway to become a dentist. Solicitor? You can do either. Sometimes it can take longer through the apprenticeship pathway, as we've seen, but there are really good routes into law and law-related occupations through apprenticeship pathways now. So if you want to find out whether there is an apprenticeship in the thing that you're interested in, if you go to Career Pilot, in the apprenticeship section, you have an A to Z, and that will show you whether an apprenticeship exists in the thing you want to do. But do be aware that you still have to find a vacancy, like finding a job, if you want to do an apprenticeship in that area. So just the apprenticeship routes to degrees, as we mentioned, there's different levels of apprenticeships that go right up to level 7 in fact, but you get a degree at level 6. You can look for apprenticeship vacancies on Career Pilot, but there's other sites too that've got vacancies like gov.uk, and there's a nice site called Not Going to University that you can see there have lots of apprenticeship opportunities. Another good site called Amazing Apprenticeships, which show you by employer what apprenticeships they're able to offer. Do be aware that even if you've got a level 3 qualification, you've been doing A-levels, you could still go on to do an apprenticeship. But you might have to go across the levels, do a level 3 or even go down to a level 2, because you need to build up the knowledge to be able to do that job. So sometimes you have to go sideways before you go up, if you see what I mean. I mentioned too, you can get an employer sometimes to sponsor your degree, and there's various opportunities around if you look for them. Best to look at the employer's own site to do a search about sponsored degrees. Not Going to University is a good site because that shows some of these opportunities. So here's an engineering one. So the way this works is the employer is going to pay for your fees while you're at university. The thing they will want back from you is they will probably want you to work over your holidays with them, and they might want you to work for them for a few years after you've got your degree. So it is worth checking out the small print and knowing what you're committing to. You can do a degree through college, as I said, at these different levels. They have foundation degrees, which are 2-year courses. There's the HNC, which is Higher National Certificate, and then the Higher National Diploma. But then you can top up to a degree in the 3rd year. So this is a mix of vocational and academic. and they have them available in these vocational areas, and the course will all be related to a job area. You'll probably do some work experience and your projects will be related to this job area. Often they have lower fees than a university, and often lower grades are needed to get onto a foundation degree course. As you probably know already, there's lots of degrees that you actually do at a university. In fact, there's thousands of courses and over 130 universities. So in terms of deciding amongst all that what you're going to do, number one, we would suggest you decide which course you want to do. And once you've got a course in mind, then find a course, find who's offering those courses, which universities, and compare them to make sure you get on the right sort of course for you. So in terms of deciding which course to do, use things like your values, your interests, the skills we talked about earlier on Career Pilot, and those things can help you choose a course that fit with the things you're passionate about. You could start with a job and work back. So it might be you want to be an engineer, so you need to think about what degrees are going to get you to that. But you might want to just do a subject at degree level, and that's absolutely fine too. So if you're passionate about a subject, you could do that at degree level and then think about a job later. And employers are really keen on people with any sort of degree. So once you know what subject you want to do, you can find and compare the universities. Look in detail at the courses, because often courses with the same name can be quite different in terms of what they're offering. So find one that fits with you. Think about what you've got to offer too. Think about your predicted grades and what points you're going to get for those particular qualifications. Different points for different grades of qualifications, as you can see. So be thinking about the university that's going to accept the points that you've got to offer. Also look at other things like accommodation costs, student satisfaction, or how happy with the other people with the course. And a lot of that can be found on Career Pilot in our degree course search, and you can look at student satisfaction for courses. And there's also lots of links in our higher education section about other websites that will help you find out about different universities. So you might want to look at other details too when you're trying to think about where you're going to go to do your degree. Like accommodation might be important. So what is the average student rent per week? Okay, well that is £126 a week, but it does vary across the country. So that's something else you might want to take into account when you're thinking about where you're going to study. Now you might decide you want to study at home, and people might be making that decision, especially with the pandemic. So you might want to think about going to the Open University. Now most universities at the moment are offering opportunities for home learning, but the Open University has been doing it for decades, so they've got lots of experience. So this is where you do your course from home, and it'll all be online, but you have an experienced tutor who's supporting you as you move through the course. The way this works is you build credits up at different levels, and you could decide to drop out after a particular level. So for example, you could do level 4 and you'd get a certificate and you'd have 120 credits. Go up to level 5, get a diploma, 240. So if you're going to get a level 6 degree, you'll need 360 credits. And you could do these in small chunks and build them up. You can do part-time, which obviously takes longer than 3 years. And they do have a really good reputation for online learning. And the fees, if you do an Open University course full-time, are less than you'd pay at a university. So it's about £9,000 at the university, and you can see it's just over £6,000 at the Open University. All information about all the choices will be in Career Pilot under your choices at 18. We also have a section on higher education at 18, and that has a lot more detail about how you choose a course and how you decide where to go and do that course. So don't forget to use all your supporters. People really want to help you make all of these decisions. You know, your family, teachers, heads of six, college teachers, careers advisors, career pals there as well for you to go back to. So hopefully you've got an idea now of all those different routes you could take to get a degree. There's multiple different routes and you can choose the one that best suits you. So what I would suggest you do now is go to careerpilot.org.uk and do some of the activities that I've been talking about. Think about what skills you've got to offer. So you might want to do our skills builder. you could start with a subject and see where it might lead and explore those ideas. Or look at jobs and see what you need to get into a job, or search for the courses that might be available or apprenticeship vacancies. So have some time now to have a little play with Career Pilot. So just a reminder of the web address and the key things we've been talking about today. So in terms of managing your own career, think about doing these things. Knowing yourself, what motivates you, what skills you've got, doing stuff to build your CV, knowing all your options, and then using all the available support. So if you want to go off now and do the task, and thank you so much for listening, and good luck with all your future plans.